Hey guys, Pastor Rod. Happy Wednesday morning. Today I want to share a message with you out of Mark chapter 15. This is the account of the crucifixion. Verse 25 reads this: It was 9 in the morning when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, "The King of the Jews." They crucified 2 rebels with him, one on his right and one on his left. Now I think we're all familiar with that picture. It's in a lot of popular Christian art and things like that. There'll be a little hill, and there'll be 3 crosses on the hill. And of course, the middle cross is always larger than the other 2, and that represents the cross of Christ. What I don't know is if you've ever stopped to consider the fact that that cross was never actually made for Jesus. That cross was actually made for a man named Barabbas. You'll find him earlier in the chapter, around verse 7. Barabbas was an insurrectionist. He was a troublemaker. He was causing a lot of problems. Some people equate him to a terrorist, an urban terrorist. He was just causing a lot of problems for the Romans, and so they decided to crucify him. Now, the tradition at the time of Passover was to release one of the prisoners to the Jews. And Pilate, of course, hoped that that would be Jesus. Pilate couldn't find anything wrong with Jesus, and that's why he wrote "the King of the Jews" when it came down to the charge against him. But the people were stirred up by the chief priests, and they asked for Barabbas instead. And so Jesus that day took Barabbas's place. Jesus became the one who would stand in place of, or the scapegoat, if you will. And that brings up an interesting parallel. In Leviticus chapter 16, we'll read how the Day of Atonement went. So this would have been in the wilderness. It would have been at the time of Moses. And the high priest would go in. He would take 2 goats. One goat would be slaughtered, and the blood of that goat would be sprinkled on the mercy seat, or the cover of the Ark of the Covenant. And the other goat, the priest would lay his hands on him and confess sin over him. And then he would be released into the wilderness, and the idea was that the sin would be moved away from the people. Now, the Talmud, which is it's a piece of Jewish literature that includes the law and explanations of the law. It also contains legends and stories of these times. The Talmud says that they would tie a red piece of wool around the head of the goat. And when he was sent out, the Talmud says that piece of red scarlet wool would begin to turn white. And the idea was that was an indication then of a miraculous sign that God had received the offering. Interestingly enough, and again, remember the Talmud is a Jewish work, the Talmud records that that miracle stopped happening about 30 AD, or 40 years before the temple was destroyed. The timing I find very interesting. In other words, when they would tie the string around the scapegoat and send the scapegoat out, that miracle never happened again. And I think that in some ways also points to what Jesus did on the cross. Again, his crucifixion would have been right at that same time. Jesus became the scapegoat for us. Jesus took our place. Just like he took the place of Barabbas, he took your place. See, your destiny was death. Your destiny was the cross. But Jesus took your place, and that's what the scapegoat is all about. Today I simply want to remind you of what was done for you, the great lengths that the Father went to redeem us and to purchase us back to him, to make us part of his household. I want you to remember that you are greatly loved, and the price of the sacrifice was high. And what that meant was the Father felt you were worth that. I want you to understand your worth before the Father today. He loves you so much. And he's called you, and he's called me, and all of us to tell others about his great love and about the way that's been made for them to be restored to him. Today, I hope you'll think about that 3rd cross and realize that it belonged to you, and Jesus took your place. You became the one who escaped. You were the one who got away because of his great mercy. Friends, have an awesome week.